The committee, I want to start by thanking the chairman for the conduct of the conversation, the debate, and the proceedings in the Budget Committee. As Paul indicated, we had a vigorous and spirited debate, but it was a civil debate. I think the choices were laid out clearly through the amendment process that we had in the committee. So I want to thank him for that. I want to thank all the members on both sides of the aisle in the Budget Committee who participated in that, as well as our staffs. We all love this country. Every single person loves this country. We all believe this country is a special place, and we all believe it's exceptional. The question is, how do we move forward in a way that keeps our country dynamic and make sure that we preserve the exceptionalism that is at the root of the country? And we have differences of views as to how we move the country forward. There are fundamental choices, but we all agree that we should come together to put a plan before this Congress that reduces the deficit. And the question is not whether we do that, but how we go about doing that. And the Democratic alternative that we put forward will strengthen the American economy, and it will reduce the deficit in a steady, predictable way. It achieves a primary balance in the year 2018. It reduces the deficit over the 10-year period by more than $1.2 trillion beyond what the President's plan that was introduced puts forward. And we do it without creating disruptions in the economy and while preserving what we believe are fundamental American values and priorities. And so I'll take the same three sort of categories that the chairman just laid out to address the differences in our budget. We believe that we have had a strong and dynamic economy for two reasons. Two reasons. One reason is that the freedom the American people have to pursue their entrepreneurial dreams and ambitions. That is a key driver in the economy. But it's also true that there are some things that no one individual or one corporation can do alone, and that require strategic national investments. And the United States of America has become an economic powerhouse in part because we have been able to come together as a nation and a people to achieve things together that no individual or corporation can do alone. And we have done it since the creation of the Republic. We've come together to go to the moon. We've come together to build an interstate highway system. We've come together to have a research and development budget that helped create the origins of the semiconductor industry, and in fact, through DARPA and others, the Internet. Those things were accomplished because as a country we decided to take risks that no corporation would be willing to take. And that has been an important part of what has distinguished the United States of America to this date. We want to retain both those parts of the American success story. Our budget invests in America. The budget put forward by the Republicans in the House decimates, in our view, critical investments in the things that have made America strong and are necessary to make America strong going forward. Educating our kids. Every family recognizes if you want your child to have a better chance of success in this country, you've got to invest in education, early education, K through 12, and higher education. We need to invest in science and research at NIH to find cures and treatments for diseases like cancer and other diseases. We need to invest in the other sciences to continue to make our economy grow. The spin-offs from those investments are incredible. We have a Make It in America agenda that says we need to continue to make those investments. The Republican budget cuts deeply into those investments. In fact, if you look at the CBO projections that were done of the Republican budget as you go into the out years, at some point, the entire budget that we now have for discretionary spending, defense and discretionary, is essentially wiped out. It goes to a lower percentage of GDP than defense alone is today. It wipes out the rest of the government activities. That's in the CBO report. So we believe you need to make those investments, and that's what we do in this bill, while at the same time we say that as you go through the budget, you got to make decisions to get rid of the duplication, to get rid of some of the wastes out there. The General Accountability Office did a report recently that identified some areas, and so we believe that we need to absolutely tighten our belt, but we should not at the same time throw out those investments that have helped make us an economic powerhouse, especially at a time when our international competitors, China and India and others, are beginning to emulate the model that helped in part power the American economy. That would be a big mistake, and yet the Republican budget, we believe, slashes investment in that. And as I say, if you project far enough out, it totally eliminates that whole portion of the budget. 100% eliminates it as you go into the future. Number two, tax reform. We believe we need to do tax reform. We have tax reform in our budget. As the chairman said, we got to clear out a lot of clutter in the corporate tax reform. There's some things we think we can decide on right away today. We don't think there's any justification for providing the big oil companies with special tax breaks. I mean, my goodness, we've all filled up our tank recently. Gas prices are all at a high, and profits are even higher, and they don't need, frankly, another giveaway from the United States Congress. We believe we can immediately begin to close down some of the loopholes that reward companies for shipping American jobs rather than American products overseas. So there are things we think we can do right now. We don't need a study to do it, but there are other reforms that need to be made, and we call for that in our budget. What we don't call for is another round of tax breaks for the wealthiest people in this country. Now, our budget says that at the end of 2012, we should go back to applying the same tax rates to the top 2% income earners that were in place during the Clinton administration, a period of time when we had very rapid economic growth. 20 million jobs were created during that period of time. So for anyone to suggest that relatively minor differences in the top marginal tax rate are the key economic drivers in the economy is taking a view that's anti-historical. I mean, it's just counter to all the facts. We went to the tax rates that are in place now at the beginning of the 2000s. We have seen a net loss by the end of 2008 of 650,000 private sector jobs. So we say we need to have shared responsibility, and that the people at the very high end of the tax ladder can contribute more to this great country. Now, the chairman mentioned tax reform in the Republican proposal. Let me be very clear about what it does. It says to the Ways and Means Committee, you're going to lower the top rate from 35%, where it is today, to 25%. Almost a 30% tax break for millionaires, billionaires, whatever it may be. And here's the catch. It says with respect to that part of the budget, you're going to do it, that piece, in a revenue neutral way. That will mean tax